UFC Mexico short notice replacement. Lone'er Kavanagh stepping up at elevation over 7,000 feet in the sky against a two-time former champion Brandon Moreno. He's saving the day, folks. This main event was not going to stay intact with Asu Almabayev pulling out, but you got other things at hand right now. You got current events, global crisis, if you will. At least that's what the news says. But it's okay, because that's not what we're here to break down. We're here to break down some fights, and there's nobody I'd rather do it with than my guy, the Santa Fe Bomber, the New Mexico native. AJ, brother, we got a lot going on. UFC Mexico card, the confirmation of the White House South Lawn Showcase. It got confirmed, bro. TKO President Mark Shapiro and Dana White have finalized the event. I'm still on record saying this thing is not going to happen whatsoever, but they say officially set June 14th of 2026, coinciding with Trump's 80th birthday. Brother, what are we making of this madness?
Derick, honestly, brother, it feels like more media madness. You were talking about it a little bit before. That's what the news is saying. Don't believe everything you see. Don't believe everything you hear, folks. But I will say, Trump, if nothing else, is one for pageantry. So on his birthday, lining up, I mean, I can see it happening. Unfortunately, I don't know if it's going to be the best card in the world, but we'll see what the UFC can provide. At least they're consistent with giving us good stuff.
That's right, brother. You want to talk about pageantry right here? All right. Let me give you a couple of details about this. Approximately 5,000 spectators will be on the South Lawn, with an additional 85,000 expected in a nearby designated fan zone. Kind of reminds me of what Turkey did for the Madison Square Garden boxing event that they had for the Riyadh season. Did you catch that one?
I didn't catch it, but I know exactly what you're talking about.
They were like literally, the fighters would get out of like a taxi cab and walk to the, like it was a whole thing, right? The walkout for this White House card. They're saying that these dudes are going to walk directly from the Oval Office into the octagon, brother. And it's going to be headlined by none other than, not Conor McGregor and Michael Chandler. You know, that's not going to happen. McGregor is never fighting again. I'm putting that on record, at least not in any professional mixed martial arts organization. But Islam Makhachev and Justin Gaethje rumored for the lightweight championship right there, with Ilya, being absent because of whatever he got going on right there. So that is your update, folks, on the spectacle that we call the White House event that I still don't think it's going to happen. But there's more pressure because, like what we talked about last week, Gina Carano, Ronda Rousey, doing it with MVP Promotions and Jake Paul. They got to beat him out. So again, give me your final take on all of this pageantry right here. Is this thing happening, bro?
Yeah, I think it is, Derick. I do think it is. I just think it's going to be a flop. It's going to be a flounder, not like we've seen it happen before, man. When you kind of put all this stuff together, you're adding too much madness into the pie. It doesn't taste as good as normal. So I think it's going to happen. It's not going to be as we expect.
Yeah. Keep it short, sweet, and simple. That's always the best. But folks, that's not what we're here to break down. We're here to break down UFC Mexico, but we need to talk about last week in UFC Houston. So let's do a little bit of a UFC Houston recap right here. As we can see here, there were 6 fights on the docket. I went 4-2. You went 3-3. But most notably, there were 2 controversial picks, or whatever we call them, right? 2 opposing picks that I think were interesting, man. Talk to me about Uros Medic, bro. Flatline Jeff Neal. He caught him perfectly on the temple. Part of me says that was just a perfectly timed shot. Part of me says, well, you did just get chinned in your last one and you got knocked out again. Is this the writing on the wall for Jeff Neal? What'd you think about it?
It's really starting to look like it's a writing on the wall for Jeff Neal, Derick. I mean, the one of the big reasons I was choosing Uros Medic is because he's that tactician, right? He's able to get in there. He's able to find those spots. Normally, Jeff Neal is able to take those hits, right? And he took a couple lumps, but still, a minute into round 1, like that is not what we were expecting. It definitely starts to raise a little eyebrows for the Hands of Steel Neal fans.
Yeah, but it was on the temple, like perfect, just like dink, knuckle on the temple. Listen, folks, I know not everybody's in the business of getting punched. Unfortunately, some of us have done it for free back in the heyday. Yeah, you get touched on the temple, bro. You know what I mean? Like, that's not always the greatest spot for you. Either way, Uros Medic, people forget, I was super high on this guy in the beginning. He started just kind of fading off a little bit, but when he gets into a spot, he knocks everybody out, right? So he had a good interview and all that good stuff. That was awesome. All right, man. Fluffy, soft to the body. Strickland took advantage of it. Come on, brother. What do we got?
Man, brother, I was sitting here. We were actually at my house. I had a couple friends over. I was talking to one of my homies, Adam. Shout out, because I know he watches the pod. But I was saying, we were talking about it, as much as Anthony Hernandez has all the intangibles to be able to win this fight. There's sometimes when you go up against a guy who just brings his style of fight relentlessly, he wins. He wins. And that's on Strickland. It's hard to beat that man in that kind of fight. And we saw exactly what happens.
Yeah, so if you got Strickland at dog odds, if you tailed your boy, you know what I mean, you're welcome. But the reality is, even with that, I can't take the victory lap fully, bro, because I think if he didn't get cracked with that knee right there, Fluffy was starting to kind of swarm a little bit. He was starting to drown him a little bit. Who knows what the rest of the fight would have looked like, but that was definitely good right there. Last contentious pick right here, Delia. I forget his first name, but Tom Aspinall's boy. I did confirm that is his boy. He did not get the job done against the polar bear, Sergey Spivak. You got to love it because, again, we write off the dudes who have been around forever and they don't always win, but there's a reason you've been around. And I thought Spivak had a pretty impressive performance. What do you think?
Time tested, Derick. I mean, when I was watching this, I one, excited for Spivak. Two, crushed at what Ante Delija was even trying to put together, brother. It was not the fight I was expecting at all. This is a huge miss. Sorry for anybody that was betting with me on that one, but I'm happy to see the polar bear get what is rightfully his on this and prove that he is time tested.
Yep. So let's just move into the consensus pick portion because that's what the rest of it is. 2-1, right? We hit on Melky Costa. He made it look way easier than we thought against Dan Ige. Jacoby Smith, talk about violence. And Josiah Harrell, bro, came off with the brain injury, and then you got some more brain injury after. I mean, shout out to that guy. Seems like it was a great story, but I told you, Jacoby Smith is an athlete, an athletic specimen that I don't think a lot of guys are going to be able to deal with. Michel Paeta and Zach Reese. I thought Reese won the fight. I could be biased. What do you think?
I was about to say the same thing, Derek. My bias is riding into that one.
Yeah.
I love the style Michel Paeta presents, and it was a little more exciting, but overall, I think Reese won the fight. But I mean, it is what it is when the judges get involved, brother.
That's it, when the judges get involved. And when it comes down to the props, unfortunately, this was not our greatest night. Strickland Hernandez fight clearly did not go the distance. Well, that's a big miss for me. Talk to me about Osborne and Idiris.
Man, massive miss, Derek. I was expecting action. I was expecting things to go jump right off the jump. Unanimous decision with O'Day losing. I mean, we were talking about O'Day having to come back, and this is really not looking like the best for him. This was a rough one.
Yeah, bro. And I'll say just the card overall, man, this was really decision heavy until you got to the main card. So this was a weird one. Even the commentators, everyone was talking about it. Like, are we going to get a finish at some point? But that is your UFC Houston breakdown and recap. You know, we cannot start this UFC Mexico breakdown without the sleeper, brother. So talk to the people. What do you got for your sleeper?
Time for some fight night.
And if you ain't paying attention, you're gonna sleep on me and I'm gonna wake you up.
Got a real fun one, Derek. Damian Pines versus Wes Schultz in the 185-pound division. Fun. I'm telling you, folks, we've been bringing up heat after heat after heat. These boys, as they get, I should say young men, these gentlemen, as they get closer to being noticed, man, they are getting higher and higher level right here. Pinus, and I might be butchering the last name, but any other way I found it sounds weird, so we're going with Pinus. Heavy hands, smart defense, pressures and counters with power, right? This dude's all about being the bully, keeping the fight standing, and wants to add to his 4-fight finish streak he's got going. Wes Schultz, on the other hand, this dude's no slouch at all. Creative striking at range, explosive and unconventional as he's getting to work. Looks to keep the distance with kicks, counter on the pressure, and likes to lay traps. This is the very classic striker versus grappler matchup we've seen time and time again. And at the talent level these guys possess, man, this one is sure to be very, very exciting, right? Early in their career, they're looking to make some moves. That's what makes this fight a sleeper right here. Damian, he's obviously the striker. Schultz, he's being the grappler in this one. Combined, folks, 15 of their 19 fights have gone to a finish, with only 2 of those fights going to a decision at all. Man, there's a lot of hype for Damian in this fight, but at the end of the day, Wes, he only has 2 losses, and those have come to UFC former and current fighters. So he knows exactly the level at which he needs to be fighting at to be able to put up a show, stop what the train is, the Damian, and make this an impactful thing. It's going to be a lot of fun, folks. Tune in. Derek, what do you think?
I think that this is going to be a banger, man. I mean, there's a lot of first-round finishes between both of these fighters as well. So may the MMA gods be with us and bring us some violence, bring us some early violence. But, hey, my biggest takeaway here, bro, talk about a nickname on both of these guys. Party time for Wes Schultz, the Baba Yaga for Damian Pines. Like, okay. All right, right on, man. And you're right. I did probably say that one wrong. So forgive, but you know what we say here. You put up some good performances, and we will remember your name. All right. Well, I thought that was a great start. Now, let's go ahead and let's jump into a couple stats that you need to know before we go ahead and jump into the meat of this. Folks, a couple of stats that you want to know. Short notice headliner, as I mentioned in the earlier portion of this program. Lone'er Kavanagh stepping up on 3 weeks notice again. He's replacing Asu Almabayev. Almabayev Moreno, that would have been a really, really good scrap. A passing of the torch moment, if you will, in the flyweight division. Instead, what we get is a dude who they just kind of said, we need a guy with a ranking to get up here. And believe it or not, they actually took him out of the rankings right prior to this event happening. So I don't know exactly what happened there. But yeah, not looking good at 7,000 plus feet in altitude in Mexico City or Mexico, wherever they're at. So something to think about. Brandon Moreno, he is coming off of the first finish loss of his 34 fight pro career. However, caveat, he just got stuck in a grappling position and couldn't escape. He did not get chinned, a little bit of a different circumstance. Chito Vera, Marlon Chito Vera is desperately trying to snap the brutal 3-fight losing streak, the first 3-fight losing streak that he's faced in his career against the 13-1 David Martinez. So we'll see how that goes. And then again, another reiteration right here, 7,300 feet. Folks, these guys are going to be up in the air. So one thing that we want to think about as a whole for this card is lack of oxygen. Yes, they're lower weight classes, but that often leads to lack of gas, which leads to ultimately decisions, right? So let's keep that in frame before we jump into this.
Here's to another main card breakdown, courtesy of your hosts, Derick G and AJ.
But with that being said, let's not waste any more time, brother. Let's go ahead and do a main card breakdown. And the most appropriate place for us to start on this one, of course, is going to be with the headlining bout, or I guess I should say the starting bout, and we will work our way to the headliner. Santiago Luna coming off of a nasty, nasty finish against Kwang Lee, who I was actually high on. I think I picked him to win that fight. Against Angel Pacheco. Dog, 0-1 in Dana White Contender Series, gets signed to the UFC. 0-1 in the UFC, and here we go. You get a undefeated guy. So let's talk about it here, brother. Give me your breakdown. Who do you like? Who don't you like? What style of matchup do we got here? Talk to me.
Ooh, this is going to be a fun one, Derick. I mean, both fighters are very exciting. I'm looking at more Santiago Luna with just the way he's able to put the fight together. And you were talking about the Kwang Lee fight before. Let's not forget, homeboy got chinned a couple times in that Kwang Lee fight, had to step up to the plate and put the knuckles to work. Santiago Luna is an absolute dog in the cage. And when he gets going, when he's able to push the pace, create the chaos, he's usually able to finish the fights right there. And you got Angel Pacheco on the other side. Let's do what I like most about him, Derick. Stays busy on the outside. He's always looking to send the strikes down the middle, right? He's throwing combos down the pipe, but when he can, he lands that big power at the top when you're not expecting it. Going up against who is considered more of a grappler, that is Santiago. Those punches up and down the middle with that pressure coming might be something to look at.
Yeah, don't let the success of Luna in his last fight get him mistaken. This is kind of classic striker versus grappler matchup right here. And not only did Luna get rocked in the last fight, he got rocked with like the first shot that landed right there. So he recovered well, and he came back to go out and get the finish against Kwang Lee. Now, here's the problem that I have right here. I think that one of the main reasons that you would bet Santiago Luna in this fight, yeah, he's an undefeated guy, whatever, favorable matchup, but his wrestling is pretty elite. He has a really, really good double leg. And I think the classic, bro, Usman style, there's a couple of different other people where you forget what gets you to the dance. You knock somebody out and you start falling in love with your hands, when reality is you need to get this fight to the mat immediately, because the longer this fight stays standing up, the more opportunity Angel Pacheco will have. I have one note on him for his credentials: regional knockout artist / dog. Just dog. That's it. That's all you need to know, man. You know what I mean? He's going to be in the fight. There is a reason. I know it might have sounded funny, but there is a reason that you lose a decision to who did he lose a decision to? Danny Silva. There we go. UFC? No, it was Danny Silva for the Dana White Contender Series. You lose a decision to Danny Silva, who's a solid fighter, right? You still get the shot. You lose to Kowlin Loughran, who's not even in the UFC anymore, and you're still here. There's a reason for that. Not all of it, I believe, is contractual. So, reasons to fade Santiago Luna right here. Angel Pacheco, how dangerous can he be in this fight?
Very dangerous. There, you said he was a dog in there. One of the notes I have for Angel Pacheco, he's durable and then gets better as it becomes more of a dog fight. You put some damage to Pacheco, he's going to answer back and answer in tenfold. Very dangerous in this fight.
Yeah, bro. I mean, look at it, right? Knockout, submissions, regional killer right here. It's just a little bit different when you're going against a guy like Santiago Luna, who is polished, who's crisp. But again, the longer the fight goes, it could be a little bit of trouble. So I wanted to go ahead and just take a look at the line right here, man. Over 1.5 is -120. Under even money right here for a fight with this style where you would imagine Luna probably has to grapple in order to win this fight. And Pacheco isn't a guy who's getting finished. He's dragging these out to decisions. That over 1.5 actually looks like juicy. What do you think?
Yeah, absolutely. At elevation. I mean, we're going to say at elevation for a lot of these for the entire show, but it really does come into play. And at a -625, that really is where the most juice is going to be in the over and under. I'm with you, Derek. I like the over here.
All right, now I'm going to give a caveat, even though I laid it out so perfectly to be like, yeah, let's just play that over. Santiago Luna, if he takes Pacheco down in the first 2 to 3 minutes, there's a high opportunity that this guy is not getting up and he's going to get choked out in a round right here. My biggest reason to fade Angel Pacheco is this dude has like no takedown defense, and when people get on top of him, not really getting up. So let's factor that one in. I know it sounds juicy, Mexico, elevation, but the reality is Luna in his fight, I think prior to coming in here, nasty rear naked choke. Like this dude is he can get real submission finishes here. What do you think?
Yeah, it was 2 before. It was against Magomed Baidev, but I mean, you just go and look at any of Santiago's fights. Even if he's knocking you out or submitting you, he's doing it usually before that 1.5 rounds. The thing that worries me, Derek, I mean, as tough as Angel Pacheco is, he's gone up against, like you said, Danny Silva, Kyle Lofgren. He's able to survive long enough. So that's what gives me pause for the over. And I think that's why the odds makers have the under as even money as well. They're not sold.
That's fair. That's fair. My biggest play right here, what I think is going to be the look, it's 2 chalk, so I guess you can. I was going to say fight not to go the distance, -335 right here. So we're not going to play that, but that's the look that I have on this one. And I think that clearly you could tell the odds makers are in agreement right there. So consensus pick on this one is pretty straightforward. Luna, it's going to be a pick right here. I mean, that's kind of what we got. I'm not betting it, especially when we're taking a look at Angel Pacheco or Santiago Luna. God damn, -625. Sorry, I didn't even look at that one originally. That was not what I was expecting. -625, bro. So, all right, one last. Sorry, we're lingering on this one, but dog, +440. You throw $5 on Angel Pacheco if he can stay standing, bro. I mean, competitive, yeah.
If he can stay standing, right, you put $5 on Angel Pacheco on a +440 and you hit the over. Bro, this fight looks a lot better for him the longer this goes.
Exactly. Something to think about right there. But don't count him out. That's all that I'm saying, right? Imanol Rodriguez, tough standout, if you will, even though he didn't win. Undefeated 6-0 on paper against Kevin Borjas, 10-4. Another dog that we got right here. Here's my question to you right here, man. He's undefeated, but similar to a couple other fighters that we've seen, you lost and tough. I know it's an exhibition, kind of, right? So when people are riding, I'm like, oh, bro, look at this undefeated dude coming up. Still pretty green. Has not faced the level of competition that Borjas has. What are we riding on with this undefeated record? I feel like this is just paperweight.
Yeah, I mean, I can see what you're talking about, Derek. I think what a lot of it has to come into is the style of fighting that Rodriguez implements, right? And obviously he trains with DC, but it's a very American style wrestling heavy approach where back 2002, or maybe even 2002 to like 2009, 2010, that American style wrestling, just pressure, beating people up, was an indomitable force. People have found ways to achieve or to fight around it, to counter it, to do all the other things. But now it's kind of coming back in with the athleticism and the explosiveness that Rodriguez presents with that style and like a lot of indomitable grit as well. Mm-hmm. That is what people are looking forward, and that's how he's going to find his best success in this, is staying to who he is. But then we always run into the thing, gets a couple knockouts, who sees what that is. But if he stays to the wrestling, he stays to the pressure, Rodriguez is a very, very hard force to stop.
It's interesting that you take that perspective right here, because when I look at Rodriguez, I don't particularly think like, this guy's going to come in and just grapple straight up. I think that this guy's going to stand up, throw that 1-2, and try to throw every shot with fight-ending intentions. That's the read that I got here on Imanol Rodriguez versus Kevin Borjas here. A little bit more technical. Borjas, listen, man, defense isn't great. He's a dog. He'll eat it, and he'll keep moving forward. Only problem is he going to be on the back foot the whole time, or can he implement a little bit of pressure? Because inevitably, what you're going to see is a young Imanol Rodriguez throwing some big shots, getting some big impact, and somehow, some way, Kevin Borjas just loses a close decision, like he's been on the wrong end of on a couple of them. Every fight for Rodriguez, if my numbers are correct, has been finished within 2 rounds. 5 knockouts and 1 submission. We tracking?
Tracking. Yeah, no, you're right.
Yeah. I have another note right here that he has really, really good power counters off of his back foot. So even if Borjas were to get on the front foot, he's going to crack you with a big shot and then make you kind of back off right here. This is really my big question to you, man. I think Rodriguez is still green. And I think that they're trying to kind of push him. This Mexico card, it seems like it's kind of favorable to some of these guys right here. But the reality is you're flaunting a not real undefeated record. You're trying to get this man some confidence in the big show. And you give him a bad matchup in the sense of a dude who's not going to be deterred easily. The undefeated guys are the ones that are deterred a little bit more easy. So great chin on Borjas, solid output, averages about 55 significant strikes landed in just across all of his fights. But the reality is 85 significant strikes in fights that he wins, 36 significant strikes in fights that he loses. So it's a pretty different look depending on how much he's able to get those shots off. With all of that context that I gave you right here, is this a little bit of a trap game for the young green guy to be the favorite?
Yes, Derick, it is. It worries me a little bit, especially if Kevin Borjas is able to get to work, right? Like if he's able to stay patient, set the traps, take the pressure that's coming, but then give something back to where you're making Rodriguez kind of second guess his game plan. Like, is this going to be working? Because if Kevin Borjas can make this a thinking man's fight, right? Push this past that round and a half, pushes out a little further, right? Get the green guy dripping, get him a little sweaty in there, have him actually get to work. That's when Kevin Borjas really starts to put his best effort forward, man. Long combo, solid defense. If you don't allow the young man to just steamroll and get going, that's where Kevin Borjas is going to shine in this one. And it makes a big difference later on in the fights.
Yeah, no, I'd agree with you right there. Listen, I think what it comes down to right here is Kevin Borjas, to me, is not a Joseph Morales, who is the guy that Rodriguez lost to, but he has kind of some experience. Remember, Morales was a UFC fighter who got cut and had to make his way back. So when you just deal with the experience, it's something where I'm like, man, if you're at plus 100 or whatever is that, what plus 350 here, that can't be right. Hold on. That can't be freaking right.
A lot of big
Jesus Christ, bro. Plus 340. Oh yeah. We're sprinkling on Borjas right here. 100%. What the heck is that? Minus 450 for Rodriguez. He's good, bro, but he's too green. I need to see it first before I actually throw any money on it. I'm more interested in this total, bro. I think over 1.5 is a great play right here.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean,
you don't think so?
If you're a Borjas, better for sure. I think Imanol Rodriguez can steamroll, but yeah. I mean,
who has Borjas been steamrolled by? Look. Where do you see a first round knockout anywhere? And you don't see that anywhere. He fought Josh Van
against Joshua Van. Like, no, you got a good point, Derick. I mean, All right.
I'm gonna make this. Listen, clearly we're at opposing ends here, right? But I think over 1.5 can be a consensus pick right there. I think that realistically, the longer the fight goes, obviously, the worse it's going to be for Rodriguez, at least in my opinion. That could be off base right there. But I also think that you don't have to beat him in the first round to win the fight. I don't think Rodriguez has to, knock him out to win. I think that he can still win if he could force him to not be able to throw. But I guess let's just get to it then, brother, because you forced my hand here. So I'm going to go ahead and put the picks out right here. I'm going to roll Kevin Borjas. We're taking the dog, the super duper dog, who I don't think should be this big of a dog. And you like Rodriguez here. So we'll see what it comes down to. But give me your final parting words on this one.
Derick, I'm looking for position over submission, absolute chaos and power, and just dominance, man. Maintain that pressure and position always. If you're Rodriguez, yeah, you might be green, but you need to go in there and show everybody you're fighting like this is your second or third championship fight. Go in there, get the work done. I really do think he can provide that A to B pressure and just absolutely dominate. And like you said, though, Derick, who's steamrolled Kevin Borjas? We might see somebody do it this weekend.
Edgar Chairez, a staple to the UFC Mexico cards, to the Noche UFC cards. He gets Felipe Bunes. And listen, man, this is a really interesting fight because I'm just going to ask you a question. If you don't have the answer, it's totally okay. But Chairez and Bunes, they have one similar trait that's going to offset. They actually have two similar traits that are going to offset each other. Do you have any idea of what those traits are?
I mean, right off the top, I would say stance. Orthodox, but
that's fair. So this is really what I'm getting at. Two things. Chairez is normally the bigger, taller guy, right? Bunes, normally the bigger, taller guy. Well, not this time because both of them are 67 inches tall, right? Whatever, 5'7", whatever that is. Chairez does have a little bit of a reach advantage, but the other thing is that Chairez has a X factor that is able to kind of mitigate a lot of people's games, which is his submission game, his jiu-jitsu. Well, Bunes has some awesome jiu-jitsu too. So you offset in the grappling. You're both long, lanky strikers. So neither of you have that inherent advantage anymore. And what it comes down to is who's going to implement their game plan the best. Chairez is a lethal club and sub guy, right? Bunes, I would say he has better cardio. He might be able to last out a little bit longer, but he's more of a submission artist, throwing a lot of teeps, a lot of spinning stuff. I don't know why, but inherently, and I don't even have the odds pulled up. But when I pull it up, I have a feeling that Chairez is going to be like a really big favorite here. And I think I probably kind of agree. Do you have the number up? If not, I'll pull it up.
Yeah, Bet Online has Chairez a minus 355 favorite with Bunes coming back at a plus 290 comeback.
Well, there you have it. All right. Well, Chairez, how does he get it done? Let me go ahead and put the stats up on the big screen too, so that we can all kind of view along. Yeah, you submitted CJ Vergara in your last fight, first round submission. You lost to Josh Van before. You can't be mad. He's the champ now. But aside from that, I mean, some layups, bro. Daniel Lacerda, he lost like all his UFC fights. Shout out to him though. Cool guy. Tatsuro Taira, Clayton Carpenter, those are your losses. So he's lost to good guys. And he's beat some like not super great guys, but you beat some reasonable guys. Yeah, man, this kind of seems like a walk in the park right here for Chairez, but I don't want to fall into a trap game. So talk to me, brother. Talk me out of this.
Absolutely, Derick. You were saying earlier that they have some intangibles that kind of nullify each other. One thing I like most about Bunes, he is technical. And I would say arguably he's more technical than Chairez coming across. And at the same point, Chairez is also very, very solid. But the way Bunes actually gets things done, man, not only in his hand, but specifically his ground game, he can catch people. He sets the traps without knowing the traps are there, and he's able to catch people in those submissions. I mean, you go and look at him. I think it's 9 submissions total. Yeah, 9 submissions total in his UFC career. The dude knows how to get things done. I don't think either fighter is going to be caught in some wacky submissions or situation, right? But I do think it's going to lead to a lot of scrambles, a lot of turning around, a lot of wash machine style fights where we're up and down. And whoever's the scrappier, more well-rounded and fitter person going into this, that who I think is going to take home the X factor.
Okay, that's fair. I have 2 points that I want to make on this. One, Chairez, not the greatest takedown defense. So unless he's jumping into a guillotine or something like that, Bunes could just like abandon the game plan and say, I just got to shoot a blast double on him. Totally possible. Number 2, I don't know okay, I think that you have a power fighter, Chairez, versus a volume fighter, more technical fighter, Bunes. I don't know if Bunes has the firepower to keep Chairez off of him. I think he's going to be back against the cage, melted, just like Josh Van did it, as long as Chairez has the gas to do it. Well, you're at 7,300 feet in elevation. I don't know if he'll have the gas to do it. So that's what makes this a little bit difficult. Either way, I don't really have anything else on this matchup, so I feel like we should just go over to the pick. Chairez is the pick, but it's a pick by both of us right here. I'm thinking submission or a decision in this one. But I don't know. It feels like that doesn't really match up with the breakdown that we just gave. So what do you think?
Yeah, Derick. No, I mean, the only reason this is a pick for me, minus 355 when on the open, like I'm not betting that on Chairez. If you're looking for like an over or fight not to go the distance, like something in there might make some sense. You pull the over. But really, I mean, the decision makes a lot of sense to me in this, with the altitude, with the nullification of the styles, with how this fight's going to have to go eventually. I like what's probably going to be an over. Yeah, minus 200. It's better. It's better.
Yeah, 2-1 right there at elevation. You might want to take advantage of it, especially if Bunes can be durable enough. But there's a chance that Chairez, when he fights, bro, a lot of his fights end super early because he just puts the gas on you. That's the worry. I don't know. a lot of uncertainty going into this one, I guess you could say right here. But the reality is this is probably going to be a really, really good fight right here. So just tune into that one. Your pick is Edgar Chairez, Daniel Zellhuber versus the King, Bobby Green, bro. All right, this has to be, at this point, they're feeding King Green everybody and anybody who's a young gun. Why? Well, because if you look at it, Lance Gibson Jr., young Bellator guy that was supposed to come in and dethrone him, he got decisioned up. Bobby Green threw those hands and he threw him fast, threw him sharp, and that's what I actually fear about this matchup right here. Zellhuber realistically is bigger than everybody in the division, longer than most people in the division, young, has a little charisma, and should be able to go on a crazy run, but somehow, some way, you find yourself, 3-2. No, 3-3. Yeah, 3-3 in your UFC tenure right here, bro. So I'm gonna pull up his the stats on this one between Zellhuber and Green. What can Zellhuber do to break this 2-fight losing streak against King Green, who I actually think stylistically is going to be a hard matchup for him?
Bro, very hard matchup, Derek. The thing Zellhuber needs to do is beat his speed with timing and power, brother, because King Green is fast. Like you said, quick, sharp. That's what he's going to be looking to do. And if you go back and watch the fight Daniel Zellhuber just lost to, again, another older striker, Michael Johnson, the first thing he said when he came back to his corner, he's like, man, that guy's fast. Yeah. And you can see it. He literally, Daniel Zellhuber, he's pushing his shots out there. They got power on them. They got snap at the end, but it's not the quick, actual pop, the sharpness that both King Green and his previous fight Michael Johnson have. That's what's going to be worrisome right here. If you're Daniel Zellhuber, nothing worse than being a 26-year-old stud, got all the power, you're long, lanky, you can throw these shots out. When you go to punch, you feel like you're in jello, and you got King Green coming back at you talking shit, throwing 4 punches. By the time you get one off, that goes to your head. And then you're back in the same fight you were just in. You need to break that cycle. You need to beat his speed with timing. And if you got a little power behind it, it doesn't hurt at all. And that's what's going to get Daniel Zellhuber the next step.
Yeah, man, I'm glad you brought that up because I thought that was crazy. Yeah, we know Michael Johnson is fast, but he was like, I'm throwing. He's too fast, bro. I can't touch him. You know what I mean? And even worse because Michael Johnson he's a slip and rip guy, but in a different way. Bobby Green is, I'm going to Philly shell that thing up off the shoulder, and a ton of lateral movement. Even though he's flat-footed, he's moving constantly. Now, Zellhuber, you're just like, dang, are you going to have the approach again of let me kick him in his arms a million times to take away that pop? Sure, but by the time that third round rolls around, you're already 2 rounds down. So my biggest reason that I'm fading Zellhuber on this one is just because he's fighting way too passively. It's almost like he's just like, I don't know, man. All of his losses have been in the UFC. So it's like you're fighting like you're undefeated and you're scared to just take a shot. But you have 3 losses now, bro. So you got to go. You know what I mean? Like you got to make this thing happen. Because realistically, all the things that I just mentioned, you should be steamrolling everybody in this division. You're longer than everybody. You have a 6-inch reach advantage and a 3-inch height advantage. That's going to be the question. How does Bobby Green get past the kicks?
Ooh, slip. Rip, get on the inside. The movement's going to come into play. The speed's going to come into play. But I think it's going to be even harder for Daniel Zellhuber to get past is when you miss a shot and then Bobby Green, King Green is literally on your shoulder hitting you with something. That's going to be the hardest thing because that movement he has is impeccable and he knows how to get the fight to where he needs to go and talk shit while he's doing it, man. Zellhuber is in for a lot on this one. I really do think the UFC brass was like, hey, like we know what you're good at. We've seen what you're not good at. You need to prove to us that you can beat like an opposite style right here. Yeah. We can beat your kryptonite. We're going to give you some gold over here. Let's see what he can do.
All right. One backing point for Zellhuber, right? Because yes, we agree. Bobby Green, tough stylistic matchup. Michael Johnson's one of the few southpaws that he's faced in his short career, right? You got to give him a little bit of credit. You haven't faced. You're fighting an orthodox fighter, Bobby Green. Bobby Green's not a southpaw. He switches a little bit, but primarily an orthodox fighter right here. So that on top of if he's able to land impactful shots, the ones you can hear, even if it's off the shoulder, even if it's off the arms, right? You got to think about how judges are going to be scoring this. What are they scoring more? A nice slip off the shoulder, which you can't really tell. A lot of the times they'd be like Floyd Mayweather lost his fights, even though he's off the shoulder on everything, nothing's actually landing. Or is it the raw impact of what you hear from a Daniel Zellhuber kick or something like that? So for that reason, bro, I feel like I should be picking Bobby Green in this one, but you might have took that live dog luck and all of it ran out at the end of the Lance Gibson fight, because when I look at this odd, I am freaking flabbergasted again, man. -500 for Daniel Zellhuber. It's almost like that little joke in SpongeBob where the dude's like, how many times do we got to teach you this lesson, old man? Like, come on, bro. Yeah, how many times they got to do it to you where you're seeing Zellhuber propped up as this massive favorite, even though you lost 2 fights in a row? Doesn't make sense to me outside of just younger, more athletic, sprier guy. So why not pick him?
Yeah, no, that is it. And like I said, if Daniel Zellhuber was worried about the power of Michael Johnson, or the speed, the speed of Michael Johnson, he's got another problem on his hands with King Green. Yeah, I'm not the -500 is wild there. Like I said, the odds on most of this card are crazy. But you don't want to throw a little cash on King Green. You expected the veteran to come in, you might win some.
Yeah. But the pick is Zellhuber. It's consensus, but this is a stay away. I think it's very clear to say that this is a stay away right there. I don't even want to entertain the matchup. I'm disgusted by the odds that I just witnessed right there. So you better make it look easy, because if not, there's no justifying that. But that's fine. That's another conversation for another time. Chito Vera, established veteran, he's fought the who's who. He's fought everybody and anybody, but somehow, some way, always coming up short because of a mental lapse of not just being able to throw enough. And even when he does throw enough, still sometimes it's not quite enough. Now, they give you a dude who is a really, really good regional champion, David Martinez, 13-1. This dude's fast, bro. His kicks are snappy. His leg kicks are nasty. And that right cross is something that you don't want to mess with. I think this is an uphill battle for Chito. And I think he's at that stage of his career. You're 15-10 in the UFC. You have double-digit losses in the UFC, where they're giving him the Bobby Green treatment of like, you got to fight these young studs, dude, and show us. Because your title opportunity came and went with Sean O'Malley. That honestly should have never even happened. He should have never been sniffing a title. But because of the drama of you beat him, the leg, whatever, and now you get the rematch, we saw how it went when you fight real championship opposition right here. So I love Chito Vera. He's one of my favorite fighters. But when we're talking about money on the line and who's going to win the fight, I'm curious to know what's your opinion right here. I'm a little jaded, as you can tell, but what do you think?
Yeah, Derick. I mean, when I came into this fight, I was expecting Chito Vera to be the underdog in this one. This is a hard fight for him. Another thing that sucks when you're a fighter, right? You have your style. You've been brought up every time. This is greatest. You get a little older, some young dude has exactly your style and is whooping the shit out of everybody going up. Now you got to fight the younger you, the mini me. David Martinez has arguably some of the best kicks in the division. That was Chito Vera 2024. Couple years ago, right? Like time is catching up. And the way this fight is going to be very, very telling on how Chito Vera has handled his mental game going forward. Mm-hmm. His losses are not bad, right? Sugar Show, Corey Sandhagen, Davison Figueiredo, Iman Zahabi. Like, Iman is the lowest one on the totem pole, but he is no slouch by any means. You added David Martinez onto that one. People start really raising some eyebrows. I don't know if you're going to be in the company that long. Like, there's a lot riding on this fight for the career of Chito Vera.
Yeah. And in hindsight, because the sport moves incredibly quickly, your wins didn't age that good, bro. Davey Grant, Frankie Edgar, Rob Font, Dominic Cruz, Pedro Munoz. You're losing the Dominic Cruz fight until you knocked him out too. So it's like, it's tough. So it goes to show, it's like, if he's not able to land the big shot, do we trust him to win a decision? Maybe at elevation, but then again, I don't know. I think Martinez has really good cardio, but Chito Vera has great cardio. He just doesn't use the output. I don't know. This is a really hard read. This is what I do know. I can tell you what I do know. There's a lot that I don't know, but I know that Chito Vera has a really, really good chin on him, and it's yet to be cracked. So you got that going for you. We know David Martinez is going to start really, really fast and has lateral footwork, lots of big kicks, high striking output. Probably going to bank in the rounds. I don't have it off of the top of my head, but if I see something ridiculous right now in regards to the odds, I might believe it, but it's going to be hard to believe right here. So let's see. Jesus, mine is a 3-1 favorite against a title challenger, a dog of dogs, one of the biggest gatekeeping vets that we have in the bantamweight division, and Martinez is a 3-1 favorite. I'm just going to ask you flat out, bro. Do you think he's that good of a prospect? I shouldn't even say prospect. We're going to call him a contender right now. Is he that good of a contender at this stage of his career?
No, Derick, unfortunately not. I really do think a lot of that number is inflated by how jaded people are towards Chito Vera and the lack of success he's been having.
Yeah. No, and it makes sense. But then again, like you said, the losses, Sean O'Malley, Figueiredo, Iman Zahabi, that doesn't equate to this, because David Martinez, you got two good wins. Rob Font, right? And you decisioned him, but you didn't even decision him the way that Chito Vera did. Like, he made that look like nasty work. And Simon Oliveira, which, come on, brother, that's not even that's not going to be in contention right here. All right. So I'm going to give a couple of reasons to fade David Martinez, because we all know where we're going to go with this one. He's just unproven against the top tier. I think that's a very easy, clear reason to fade right there. Aggressive forward pressure could come back to bite him against a counter striker, a power counter striker like Chito Vera. And then lastly, I had it when he was early at like -160. I was like, that feels too steep. -315, brother. I'm just going to put it out there again. So don't got too much analysis right here. But wait, this ain't right. AJ, is this right? Am I reading this right? All right.
I'm taking the dog, brother. I'm taking the plus 265 dog in Cheeto Vera at Elevation. Honestly, this is one where I look at the card, look at the stats. There's massive numbers on a lot of these favorites for a good reason, right? This was one of the fights where I was like, man, I don't know if this is the best reason to be having David Martinez as a minus 315 favorite, 3-1 odds. So I like Cheeto Vera in this. I think he can bring something. If he starts just a little early or gets just a little bit of momentum, I think he can get this fight done. And if not, I'm never betting on Cheeto again, even though I love him as a fighter. Great dude, but man, this is the time, and I'm rocking with my dog Cheeto Vera.
Yeah, it was a couple of decisions ago, AJ, or actually, sorry, there we go. It was a couple of decisions ago for me that I vowed to not bet on Cheeto anymore. So I respect just like follow through and loyalty. This is a bet for me for David Martinez, but this is not for the reason that you think. My bet right here is actually going to be a pretty easy play. I'm going to go double chance. And sorry, I'm just trying to share my screen right here. There we go. Double chance. David Martinez, knockout or decision at minus 280 is the play that I am going to go right here. I think it is bettable based on the double chance that you get right there. But I'm disgusted at these odds, even though I think that it is probably more or less in line. So I envy your loyalty, but we're going to rock David Martinez in that one. I don't want to be too disparaging on this one here, AJ, but I'm going to give you my thoughts on this one before we actually break it down. My thoughts are incredibly simple. UFC needed a placeholder. They needed a ranked guy. They said Lone'er Kavanagh. You got some crispy striking. You got a good little backing and regional champ. If they bring you up the right way, this could end up very well. This is literally an opportunity of a lifetime against a two-time flyweight champion, a guy who, like it or not, is probably going to go down in the UFC's Hall of Fame, Brandon Moreno. Outside of that, how does Lone'er Kavanagh win this fight?
Man, you got to slow the fight down, not get worried or distracted with all the weird things that Brandon Moreno is going to be doing. And you need to land the better combos and then reset, right? Get in there, piece up Brandon Moreno, and then just dip out, right? To try it at all to avoid being the punching bag, being the guy who's getting styled on, being the guy who's just consistently has the backward pressure, right? You're getting the pressure on you. If Lone'er Kavanagh is able to find moments, hit his spots, and then cut angles, he has a really good shot at doing this. The problem is Brandon Moreno is very, very technical, very, very well-rounded, but this is probably the best time in Brandon Moreno's career to beat him. Like he's on what, 2-fight loss streak, 3-fight loss streak? Oh no, it's just one.
No way, bro.
I mean, he's he has had some telling fights in how he gets things going against a snappy guy who has some speed. You can get one. You can piece up Brandon Moreno. He's hittable. He's just very, very durable.
You know, man, I would agree with you if this wasn't a 3-week short notice fight at Elevation in Mexico. Like, I would agree. I'd be like, yeah, dude, this actually could be something right here. Again, I just think it's a placeholder. And when you look at Brandon Moreno, like him or not, bro, like legitimately like him or not, you look at his resume, you can't deny it. You lost to Tatsuro Taira, about to fight for a title. Brandon Royval, multiple-time title challenger. Alexandre Pantoja, we don't even need to explain. Davison Figueiredo. Come on, brother. You beat all the other guys. You beat Figgy twice. Kai Kara France knocked him out. Amir Albazi, which I think we found out now that doesn't age nearly as well. But let me ask you, do you think Steve Erceg sucks?
No.
Well, come on, bro. And then you got Lone'er Kavanagh, who's good. Don't get me wrong, but Steve Erceg went to show he's like he could box, he could do the whole nine, all that stuff. All I'm saying is this. Brandon Moreno has a weird style. Lone'er Kavanagh is incredibly untested, but if you look at the first round against Charles Johnson, he looked great, bro. He was piecing him up before he got touched up in the body. A little too much forward pressure got on him, and he got out of there. So he's faster. I'm not sure if he hits harder, but I think Moreno just has too much experience and a grappling edge.
Yeah. I mean, too many tools in the tool belt. Brandon Moreno's seen it all, fought it all at a higher level. This is a really hard one. In fact, I forgot that who was it? Amir Albazi? Who was he supposed to fight before?
Asu Almabayev. I forgot that this was a short notice replacement. I looked at the card. I was like, wait a minute, why? Yeah, it makes sense. Yeah. But Kavanagh, he can get things going, and this is a shot, brother. If you know, they always say luck is when preparation meets opportunity. Kavanagh got the opportunity. He just needs to show up with the preparation he's been putting in. That's it. Again, I'd have different take. I'm talking crazy right now, people. If this wasn't 3 weeks notice, it'd be a different scenario.
Yeah.
But given that it is, I'm not going to waste my time breaking it down too much. The consensus pick is Brandon Moreno, and it is a bet right here. Now, as you can see, folks, I've been having a little bit of a surprise in here, taking a look at the odds in real time on the program. I just like the matchup. Oh, minus 215, Brandon Moreno. Yeah, boy, let's go. You smashed that. Minus 215. I will eat some crow if this one goes horribly wrong, but I don't think that it will. Over 4.5 or under is, I guess, the other play right here. What are you taking, AJ?
Ooh. Honestly, Derick, I'm kind of liking the under. 3-week notice, Lone'er Kavanagh. And when's the last time Brandon Moreno has had a finish for a win?
Recently.
Stopped him. He stopped Figgy.
Yeah.
2023.
But also Kaikar France.
Oh yeah, right before that, 2022. This has been a while. Brandon Moreno's due for one. I'm leaning towards the over with my wallet. I want to see a finish here. I like the double chance. Yeah.
Which one? Knockout or decision, or submission or decision?
Submission decision.
Minus 125, bro. Look at that. I'm just saying. It's something to think about right here. Let's not forget, folks. We got some plays for you here in a second. So we're going to talk about this stuff a little bit more. But that is your main event, Brandon Moreno. If my breakdown is right, then he gets a layup. But AJ thinks it could be a little bit more competitive. So we will see. But with that being said, we have your best bets up next. And I don't want to waste any time. I want to jump straight into it, AJ. So talk to us, brother. You got we're going to do a couple of main card recaps on this one. And here's the difference. I think we talked about it last time, but when you see our best bet, you're also going to see our best bet record so far. So it's our job to do some making up some ground and get some good picks for you guys. AJ, what you got?
Absolutely making up some ground on this, folks. We talked about it before. Imanol Rodriguez versus Kevin Borjas over 1.5 rounds. One of the best odds we've seen on the card all day long on the whole program. Minus 154 going right here. I like this one strictly, right, because it's the over. Everybody, is expecting Rodriguez not necessarily to steamroll Borjas, but have the upper hand. The odds we're talking about are astronomical for this kind of fight. But Borjas is no slouch, patient. He makes reads, and when he does, he lands them going forward. I like this one. When I was writing this, it was a minus 450 favorite, not taking that at all. But I do expect Rodriguez to do better. So I'm expecting this one to last a little bit longer with the durability that Borjas presents. I like the over. Derick, what do you think and what's yours?
Yeah. No, that's fair right there. With the Mexico stuff that we talked about, elevation, let's start leaning towards some of those ends right there. But more important, we broke it down in the main card breakdown, folks. So go reference that, you know what I mean? But that was a banger right there. All right, folks, I got a little something for you. I'm rocking with the fight that we just talked about right here, Brandon Moreno versus Lone'er Kavanagh, over 4.5 rounds at minus 135 right here. I think he takes himself as a real professional, like he should, right? I think he is good. I just think the circumstance is not a good situation to find himself in. That means a hard fought, but unfortunately, let's put that back. A hard fought, but unfortunately not a win. I think he's going to fight hard. I think it could be somewhat competitive, but I also think that Brandon Moreno probably rolls to a decision right here. So we talked about double chance just a moment ago. If you don't like the double chance, over 4.5 rounds, and it doesn't really matter. So if Kavanagh has a miraculous performance and somehow squeaks it out and gets the decision, well, guess what? You still win right here. And AJ, I don't think I can be wrong. It can't be X amount of weeks in a row where the minus money props for the totals are just missing over and over again. Like, I refuse to believe that. I also have another stat to back up on this one. UFC Mexico in March of 2025, event saw 6 out of 10 fights go to a decision. You want to go back to 2024? 6 of the 12 fights went to decision. So generally you're hitting a 40-50% decision mark right here. Let's see if this will be one of them. All right. That was your best bets, folks. So let's go ahead and let's take a little bit of a quick prelim pour over to highlight a couple of the bouts that we just haven't necessarily been able to, spend some time on taking a look so far. So over to the big screen. What do we got here? First one that I want to talk about right here, bro. Macy Chasson versus Eileen Perez. This is actually going to be a meaningful matchup right here in the women's bantamweight division. Who do you like here?
It's hard not to go for Chasson on this, just seeing the way she's been getting things done and really only losing to people who have been established in the division, right? Like I don't want to say top tier, but at least established in the division. Well, Eileen Perez is on a run, bro. And if we've seen the work that she's been putting on the outside, like she's been getting things going. I'm interested to see how Eileen Perez gets on the inside and really starts to do some damage. Because if she's able to lump Macy Chiasson up, we've seen how quick Chiasson folds.
Yeah, it's true, but also, come on, man, some decision losses to Ketlin Vieira and Yana Santos. You know what I mean? She's not just sitting here and laying down and saying, I quit. I think Perez is always going to be a hard out because of what she's good at is the same thing that Chiasson is good at. The problem is that can backfire on her too. If this becomes a glorified kickboxing match, you want to take the person with the length, 5'11" versus 5'5", 72-inch reach versus 66. Something to think about. But when it comes down to grappling and grappling defense, let's not forget where Eileen Perez trains at, the Goat Shed over there with Jillian Robertson, bro. You know what I mean? Like she's got some good work around her. So something to think about right there. That was a good one. All right, man. The other matchup that I wanted to talk about right here is it's more funny right here. So do you know anything about this matchup right here? First off, I really enjoy heavy-handed Ernesta Karakach. It's something you sell like that. You know about Kill Bill?
I do. Yeah.
Do you? Talk to me, brother. What do you know?
Only because of a Discord post that you shared. So I was going to let you take this one, brother. I haven't heard any research.
No worries. So let me go ahead and fill you guys in on a little. I forgot that I actually posted that. But yeah, I just came across it. Let me see what I got here. All right, folks. So I'm going to read a little something here for you. And forgive me because I'm going to read it off my screen. All right. One of the fastest rising stars in Latin American MMA, the undefeated 21-year-old flyweight Regina Tarin, if that's how you say it, has signed with the UFC. She's going to debut in her native Mexico City, 7-0. She replaces Sofia Montenegro and takes on Ernesta Karakach at a catch weight of 130 pounds. Now, here's the thing. I guess because it doesn't even say here. That's not even the main reason that I brought it up. The reason that I brought it up is because what they, I guess, know Regina Tarin for is being like a WWE tryout. So they're like, yo, we just need bodies in the arena. This goes back to what I was talking about earlier, bro, where it's just like, yo, we'll bring you in. This is super short notice. All the global affair stuff that's happening in Mexico right now, they're like, we just need somebody who can come in and just perform, right? So I think that this is going to be a layup right here for Ernesta Karakach. And the reason that I think that is because Karakach is actually good. You know who Karakach beat? And I could be butchering this last name, so forgive me. It's been a while since I broke down her fight. You know who she beat on the Contender Series to get into the UFC, AJ? Don't look nothing. Do you know?
No. I was looking at a completely different fight. I thought I was thinking a different name than the one I just saw. So no, I did not, Derek. That's a good win.
She beat Crispy Carly Judice right here, who everyone is super high on. It was a super close fight. I thought Judice, I was rooting for her. I thought she was going to win the fight, but Karakach won. Either way, something to look at. How about a cool nickname? Kill Bill. Come on. Like, I wish that I had a cool nickname like that, but something to think about. All right, AJ, one last one, and then we'll get up out of here. The one that I wanted to talk about right here is Eric Silva versus Francis Marshall. Now, we've been covering this thing for a while. We've seen Francis Marshall time and time again. And if I have one consensus opinion about Francis Marshall is that he's actually good, dude. Yeah, he's coming off of a loss, 2-3 in your last 5, but I think he's actually good. He is a, there we go. Where's it at? Let's find it. It's got to be one of these ones. Minus 725 favorite against Eric Silva right here. My man, the odds makers are basically inferring he is about to catch a body right here. Yes, I think he's good. Do you think he is that good?
Again, I think this goes against and no shade were not intended, going up against Eric Silva. The odds makers are making this for a reason. We've seen, at least if you're familiar with how Silva fights, like he has a knack for finding himself in bad positions. Same thing with the TJ Brown fight. He was looking good until TJ Brown just came and did his thing. Like the way that the fire marshal, right? Francis Fire Marshal is going to be able to impose his will, I think is extraordinary. And that's why I think it's a minus 725 favorite. Not much juice on the bet, but he should steamroll this cat.
And keep in mind, Francis Marshall, he's only lost to good guys right here in this run. William Gomes, right? Yeah, you're not in the UFC, but you got kicked out because you were winning too much and you were boring, right? So, like, all right, bad problem to have, or a good problem to have. Isaac Dogarian, yeah, you get finished because my man was putting on a gambling scheme and looking lesser than against guys that he should have been smashing. And then Myron Santos. You can't be mad at any of those, especially with that being a split decision. So a couple of fights that I figured were worth a little bit of your guys' time. But with that being said, I think this is a very appropriate place for us to call it quits here, AJ. So go ahead and take us out of here, my man.
That's right, folks. It's going to be a fun one in Mexico City. Chaos is going on and all around Mexico, but you know who's bringing you fights. UFC got you handled, and you know who's winning you the most money. Bloody Water Podcast got your back all the time. Make sure you share it with your friend. Tell them it's your favorite fighter's favorite fight show, and we know it's the place that you're winning the most money, so make sure you tell everybody down below. It's going to be a great fight week, man. We'll see you on the next one.
Until next time, folks. Peace.